Alright, right now the stream is private. What I'm going to do is put that blast out to social media. Let everybody know that there's going to be an ink stream happening. Boom, there's the people on Facebook. Boom, there's the people on Instagram. Let me hit up the Kayfabe Instagram, and then it's on. One second. Got some good Gorda ink today. And I'm just trying to fill up that dead air just in case this stream stays alive. Alright, so we put out the blasts. Time to take it off private. I'm sure there's a more elegant way to do this, and I will potentially figure that out. Anyhow, here we go. What's going on, Linkovich? Alright, got some good Gorda ink today. Thanks for joining the chat room. Let me just get the camera set up and we'll get busy. Good page yesterday. Turned out good in the final stage too. That's what I was working on earlier in the day. There's the foliage panel. Decided to put some camo on the girls' faces, and what you're gonna see in the back in color, I cut in tree growth and stuff, just so that it's separated from the black line. Pulled these guys out in color. I'm using spot color on those on the top color panels, and then there's our gore from yesterday. And our creepers with the crates. Good stuff. So the first move, gotta stir up that ink. Very important. One thing I like about streaming on a Sunday is seeing who doesn't give a fuck about football. American football, that is. And that's me assuming that there is, in fact, football games, which I think there is. Not 100% sure. So this is going to be a good page. It's a precursor image. There's going to be comics greater than CTE. New day, new page. You know how it goes. Got a monthly comic to draw here. Can't take any shorts. We work on Sundays. You know how it goes. We'll work on the fun stuff. Got to thank you guys for showing and proving. We sold hundreds and hundreds of Red Room comics since the announcement. But I'm on the quest to make this comic a hit by any and all means necessary, because I want more crazy shit in comics. So I implore you, hit up the pre-order on Fantagraphics website. There's some links right there. And if Will this even work? Nope. Let me try that again. Boom. Hit up that pre-order. Secure your copy of Red Room issue number 1. Hundreds of them have been accounted for so far, but I want to go for 1,000. And then when I hit 1,000, I want to go for 2,000. You see how the game is played? Mark, thanks for pre-ordering the comics, man. Yeah, using the G Pen. Something about hanging out with the mangaka in Japan, just seeing how that's the pen of choice. Had to give it a shot. Typically, I've been drawing on smaller paper as well. Different from this comic, but in most of 2020, I was drawing on like 9x12. So that's not too far from manga. I got music playing in my ears, so let me just shut that off. But the G Pen nibs, they last long. You know, I was able to get maybe 10 pages out of the nib when I might be able to get 2 or 3 pages out of a 102 before it starts to get dull. Marvelous. Thanks for that Red Room pre-order. The link is in the description below this video to hit that up. And also, for those who are abroad, overseas, from America, and facing the wrath of those crazy shipping charges that we just can't do anything about, I encourage you to hit up the Patreon. It's also in the link below, and you will be able to read the comics today, basically. You can read the comics today, see what you think about them. When the trade paperbacks come out, they'll probably have a wider distribution that will make it accessible on your shores in a way that maybe the comic isn't. But if you get American comics, I mean, this is going to be in comic stores. Just historically, every comic that I've done has gone into reprints really fast, so I'm encouraging this pre-order right away just to make sure that you get a copy. Stores always underorder my work, and people always over-demand it, so instant sellouts all the time. Red Rooms are something I read about. Like, I think you could probably even, you know, if you have the cojones, do a little YouTube search on Red Rooms, and you'll see people talking about them. The idea is that on the dark web, it's snuff, you know, for the modern ages. There are people talking about on the dark web. There are like these cam girl type websites where there's webcam person, performers, and chat rooms that are, you know, pledging money to have their requests enacted. And the difference being here is that it's murder, it's torture, it's like you know, chicken hawk people, you know, the people who are afraid to go off to war but love to see carnage and stuff. It's those kind of sickos that would participate in these rooms, pledge money, Bitcoin in this case, because it's a little bit harder to trace. The paper trail is a little different than your traditional U.S. legal tender kind of paper trails. So that provides a little obfuscation. The dark web provides obfuscation, and these people are getting away with it. So the comic is going to explore this idea from a million different angles. You know, we're going to focus on the people who create these videos. We're going to focus on the people who would even want to watch such things. You know, I just kind of hinted that it's kind of like a pursuit of the 1%. You know, for the people who have everything, why not, you know, like a modern day gladiator match or something, like thumbs up, thumbs down. Will this person live? How do you want to destroy them? And you get to watch it from the coziness of your laptop. Not for the faint of heart, obviously. Yeah, Ben, there's just nothing that we could do about the crazy shipping costs. You know how that stuff goes, man. And this is Fantagraphics is a humble operation. But once again, the link to my Patreon is in the description below in this video. Check out the comic. There are 2 issues up there right this minute that you could check out and, you know, support the comic ahead of time. And if it's up to speed, then get the trade paperbacks or get the big book whenever it eventually comes out. There's going to be many, many avenues. The thing that I've discovered with the comics buying public is that there are many different audiences for many different types of formats, and I'm interested in tapping into all of those. You know, why not? Whenever you see red rooms in the comic sort of going down, and you could kind of see it faintly here, this is like a chat room setup, so you'll get a lot of insight into the participants of people who like this kind of thing in the chat room setting. And every now and then there is a guy or a girl, you know, some anonymous person who is involved in the red room thing for some, you know, sexual component. You know, there'll be people in the chat room who are like, does anybody else have a boner right now? Or are you jerking off to this too? You know, it's unsavory shit. This comic is definitely for people who have just like weird dark curiosities, want to see that, you know, played around with. Otherwise, man, stick to your Captain Underpants or whatever. But very interested in kayfabe effect in this comic. I want to see more crazy shit on the stands. I want to see more crazy shit on the racks. And the only way that that gets to happen is if there are successes that can be pointed to on the rack. I'm in a position right now where I could kind of like invest in some experimentation to try to fuck around a little bit. And, you know, if I'm right, there's going to be more stuff like this. For sure. If you were in the chat before, you see, like, I just kind of hit this with the G pen. Get some of the thicker lines in there ahead of time. But I do a lot of work with the fine liners. Copics at this point, these babies. cool costume characters, different ones in every issue. Every issue is going to be completely self-contained. So you'll be able to just pick a random one up and not have to be bogged down with the continuity of everything else. It should be very clear. I do believe in the Jim Shooter philosophy of, you know, every comic is somebody's first comic. So keeping that spirit in mind with the monthly comic. That's another thing I'm trying to invoke into the comic book game. You know, fuck this decompressed nonsense that we've been dealing with that's been abusing readers for 20 years, 25 years at this point, you know, since the trade paperbacks kind of became the kind of dominant product. Make the comic book magazine worthy of the format. And the best way to do that is to provide a complete experience, you know, within those 22 pages. And that's what I'm going for here as well. Once again, this is something that will be replicated if we make this a success, and I'm going to rely on the Kayfabe audience to do so. You know, the Kayfabe channel, it's a rare pedigree that we've fostered here, and it's the people who absolutely love comics, that you know, don't put up with any BS, have good taste levels. So let's affect the game. Put together some new ways of doing things. This is for the 5th issue. Call it the Rat Queens. Now that the gang's all here, we got over 100 people. Let's hear some shout outs to where you're located. I'm always thrilled and curious to find out where you guys are coming from. I'm located in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania at the moment. How about you? All the big cities representing Argentina, Berlin. They say that Berlin is the Pittsburgh of Germany. I've actually heard that. Seattle, the home of Fantagraphics, my dear publisher. Charlotte, NC, shouts to the Heroes Aren't Hard to Find crew. Charlotte, NC, Miss Heroes Con. Favorite comic convention to go to all year. Hope to be able to make it happen again soon. Bolivia, nice. Adam Brooks, man, what's up, dude? Asking me about painting more Red Room covers. And you know what, dude? I'm trying. Like, every free moment I'm practicing, and I'm not happy with my results. Like, I am such a visual learner. Man, I wish I had access to somebody that I could just snoop over their shoulder and see how see how they do their thing, so that I can, do my half-assed approach at what the heck they're doing, because trying to figure this stuff out on my own just isn't happening to the proficiency levels that I need in terms of professionalism. Jim Dietz, what's up, homeboy? Thanks for that super chat, Adam. Much appreciated. Adam painted our portraits. You guys should go check out his Instagram. The art is printed out in blue line and penciled over top. So if you see darker lines, those are traditional pencil, and the lighter ones are printed out. I do my initial roughs in Procreate, which is a app on the iPad. And the beauty of that is that you can just micromanage the compositions, move things just a hair, millimeter, and arrange the shapes the way you want them to be, make that foot a little smaller, blah, 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 and then print it out, tighten things up a touch, get to inking. That's the process. Gouache, is that what you use, Adam? I have a ton of it here. Crayola markers? Wow. Yo, Adam, that's a hardcore flex, homie. That's dope. Because that work is so proficient. It just goes to show that the tools kind of don't matter. It's the artist. It's that hand behind the tools that does the magic. The way I've been doing, working on this issue specifically, was I did all the roughs and basic pencils before I started the finishing stage, and I think I might continue that, but also that would put me down from doing streams for chunks of time. Like, I'll have to disappear for 3 weeks, and I kind of like streaming regularly again. But what's more important, streaming or making sure that the comic is dope? I'm not trying to waste your money, so I might still do that and rough everything out ahead of time. The beauty of it is that when you revisit those earliest pages that you roughed out, they're a little less precious, and you could redraw a panel, make it a little tighter. What was I thinking? Shit, I could do better than this. What is this panel trying to say? Is it conveying the things I need it to? That arm looks weird. Like, you could just more objectively look at what you laid down, weeks, days earlier, and be a little harder on yourself, which is, super important to the game. Off the bat, nobody's telling us to make these things to start, right? So That's one battle, to just have the discipline to make the thing. But then it's up to you to be like, that ain't that hot. That ain't that hot. What am I trying to do here? Eviscerating Ed Piskor, that's good. Except it would be Pissgore. Gonna have to put a lot of gore on this axe, man. This axe has seen some work during the making of this particular video. This video in the comic, not the YouTube video. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah, pissing gore definitely sounds like a terrible symptom, some kind of social disease. Wear your Jimmy hats, kids. Speaking of that, I'm about to put some tunes back in my headset. How many of you guys have pre-ordered the comic so far? I'm trying to get some accounting for just how many hundreds of these things we sold. The number obviously changes after every bit of correspondence. And if you haven't done so, by all means, hit it up. And if you balk at the shipping charge overseas, hit up the Patreon. Patreon.com/EdPiskor. That link's in the description down there below the video. And you could actually read that first issue today in its unedited form. I might redraw some panels, rewrite a couple of pieces, but you'll have the broad strokes. And shouts to the people who have done both. You know, that's my Kickstarter campaign, man. I can't be stuffing envelopes, but I could deliver you the comics in a bunch of different forms. And the early adopters who supported the Patreon, big shouts to you guys. Lewis, I'm glad you say that you're broken, that you're a cartoonist, because it's very important for me to be kind of like the opposite of your average, you know, indie comics fair kind of cartoonist, and pursue a wider audience for those exact reasons, man. You go to those indie cons, everybody's spread around the same $5 bill. And, you know, I'm trying to make a go of this as a career, man, so horror fans abound, Gorehounds abound. This is the comic for you. Jim, thanks, man. I miss you, dude. Yoda Jones himself. There's gonna be some hair under those arms. Because the rat queens don't groom. Oh, that's a good looking batter stance. I'm just taking a look up on the monitor. It's going to jack this dude's head up. This is going to be the comic for all of us who have grown up in the VHS era, going to the mom and pop movie store, picking up all kinds of weird, provocative VHS tapes to rent because of the attractive packaging. What was that one, man? That was it Clint Howard as Ice Cream Man that had a bleeding cover, you know, with like actual liquid in between two pieces of plastic on the cover of that thing? Amazing. You know, I checked all that stuff out, man. So how, seeing all that shit that I wasn't supposed to see, how could I not be making this comic right now? You know, just get this kind of stuff out of my system. It's so fun. You know, so wild, so weird. And my kid's sister and her friends are my audience for this thing in certain ways, man. Like, I love her so much, and just making these comics, sending them her way, and just, you know, freaking her out, grossing her out is insanely fun. You know, she's built for this kind of stuff, man. At the Piss House, there was no censorship. So when she was even super tiny, I remember she watched Jason X so much. And I was disappointed in her. Like, why are you watching Jason X, man? You need to watch a better one. And I'm saying she was still in diapers then. So that's just the cloth that we're cut from. And it seems that a bunch of her friends are cut from that same cloth too, you know? So that just tells me that there is like a fresh generation of little Gorehounds out there. And I'm not one to, you know, try to glom onto trends and stuff. So it's like, you know, to me, this is a YA novel. If I was a young adult, I would be fucking with this before I would be fucking around with some of that other nonsense. And I definitely did. I got those Faust comics right over to the left of me. My spirit animals on my spinner rack over there. I need to figure out how to do like a little rougher ink style, man. I always have it in mind to do so. But then it always comes out, you know, sort of the way that it does. Put some veins on these boobs. Yeah, Goalies was a good one. The girls just saw the Sleepaway Camp flicks this past summer for the first time. And the shock ending was not spoiled for them. Which surprised me. I don't know if it was on Shudder or what, but that was something that they were into. that'll be all for now for that. And then hit it with some fine liners. Or you know what, since we're on the stream, got 200 people in this room, I'll show you guys something cool that you might not have seen before. Little tool that is necessary if you're gonna do splatter comics. Let me just let this dry for a second. We'll filibuster for a hot minute. This scene is going to be in black and white, but and it's going to be duotone. Every page in this issue, the 5th issue, has 3 different stories going on, essentially. First tier, this is going to be in color, and it's the girl's story. She's sort of like an innocent. This is the chat room, so every page is going to have the chat room right in the middle prominently, and then the bottom is going to be in zipatone, and it's going to be, you know, a hairy kind of tale. So there's 3 stories going on the page, on every page of this issue, and then they all kind of come together in their own way. Super fun kind of experiment. I think it works. Everybody I showed it to digs it, and I don't show it to mom, you know what I'm saying? I show it to people who are honest with me about you know, what works, what doesn't. Alright, I think this is dried enough. It's so weird, like my ink has been staying liquid far longer. It might be because I have to run this humidifier because of the dry heat in the house this winter. Anyhow, let's play with some shit. So this axe has seen some action, and with that, it's going to need some splatter. So I got some frisket here to just mask things off. Which is just a sticker to kind of, used a lot in airbrush to just make sure that the splatter gets where I want it to go and nowhere else. So like a zipatone screen or something. Peel that up. I made the mistake of getting a frisket that's too like extra tacky. So it's, if I put it on the paper like in this state right now, it'll rip the paper when I pull it up. So I just put the frisket like on my shirt and get some hair fibers or whatever on there. It just makes it less tacky. You know, put it on your hand or something. Make it less tacky. They have one that doesn't have that much tack to it, and I stupidly, you know how it goes when you get stuff on Amazon. You always get the thing that's like, you know, almost there but not quite. All right. Can't have a spatter comic without spatter. You just let the weight of the blade cut the frisket, because you don't want to obviously cut your paper. Alright, so that's our immediate surface that we want to get our spatter on. But got a lot of real estate on this page, and we don't want to get spatter on all of it. Oh, that's cool. You can see the... See, it's like surgery. You can see the open area that we're going to be working on. Then you just take some scrap papers. Tape them down on the other 4 areas around the thing so that you isolate the area that you want, and then you'll be able to get busy. Have a good night, Lewis. All right, so now I like the idea of some congealed blood first, so you just allow that to happen. You know what, Barrett, I'm glad you mentioned that, because there are 2 options, and I do have liquid frisket as well, but I've never fucked with it yet, as you can see by the plastic still being over top of it. So can't speak to it at all. But I have used this kind of frisket in the past before, and it's always served me well. But I wanted to have the liquid stuff on hand just to give it a shot, and I will eventually. Might not use it the first time ever on cam, just because I don't want you to just hear me say, "Oh, motherfucker, god damn it." Alright, so we got the good congealing gore to go along with the speed of the axe. Maybe a little more. I'm like Bob Ross, man. Happy little gore. And you guys are my happy little Gorehounds. Andy Cohn, what's up, homie? Eric Canetti, oh man, he's an Outlaw Comics master. If you're a real kayfaber, you know Eric's work from like that super kind of Aeon Flux looking Verotic comics back in the day, man. What were some of those titles, dude? Huge fan of your work, and your YouTube is awesome. All right, man. There's a little gore. There's a little bit of gore there. Now let's have some fun. My gore brush. Let's get visceral. I want the spatter to focus at the tip of our axe, of course. Eric, how old were you when you were drawing that stuff for Danzig, man? Because you mentioned parents, and I just imagine you were like 17 or something, which would be perfect. My first professional job was when I was 17 too, for a porno mag for Hustler. And then when they found out how old I was, I didn't have a gig anymore. They said, "Why didn't you tell us you weren't 18?" And I said that you didn't ask. The way that I got that gig too is real funny, because there were these books called The Artist Market that I don't know if they even exist anymore. And there would be art directors and galleries and agents and stuff that you could, submit your work to. And I remember the magazine I sent stuff to, because I would send 60, 70 packages a week. It was a magazine called Nugget, and I had no idea what that even was. But then I got a call from Hustler, and they were like, your drawing is too good for our cartoons. Like, we want to give you these center spread illustrations. Just trying to anticipate if that's good enough. There are these 2-page illustrations that we commission. I think you'd be good for those. Blah, blah, blah. And at the time, there were like really awesome people doing them. It was like Jaime Hernandez was doing them. Coop was doing artwork for them. Dan Klaus did the letterhead. So it was a really cool period of time. I think the art director was called W.T. Nelson. There we go. All right. David Cho, I think, did some work for them. Yeah, Eric, I give you props for doing the stuff that you do digitally, man, because it's such an adjustment. I can't wrap my head around it that much, man. It's the tactility that's weird for me with the digital experience. I just like that little surface of the paper grind with the ink nibs. Now there may be a little spatter, a little overspray over here, but that's okay. It's going to be all right. Oh yeah, Eric, thanks a lot, man. Yeah, Fantagraphics seemed like a good home. There's a lot of moral police out there these days, and Fantagraphics, they're no strangers to that kind of shit, man. So it's gonna it creates a system where I can just be 100% creative. They can handle my light work when it comes to, as Dave Chappelle said, bitch ass motherfuckers on the internet who might have some trouble. And on this monthly grind, can't be focusing on anything but the work. So there it is, like how satisfying is that, right? You like rip up your mask. And then everything is cool and clean. Boom. Yeah, I have the masking fluid here too, but like I said, never busted it out of the pack yet. I've used the screen, the sticker shit before, and I do plan on fucking with this, but I'm gonna do it the first time off cam, just so that I can keep my growing pains to myself. Where to begin? I still see some liquid, man, so that's gonna be treacherous for a hot minute. Just work on some gnarly teeth or something. I always liked how McFarlane would like switch it up, have like little short little corn kernel teeth, and then some bigger ones. The splatter is why Michael pre-ordered. I knew you guys were going to show up whenever we made the announcement, man. But when I heard that we have almost 1,000 pre-orders, that stokes me out. That said, I would like 1,000 pre-orders. You know, that put that idea in my head. It's a very attractive idea. So what the fuck? Make that happen. Make that happen for the crew. How long has it been since you had like a cool monthly comic that was satisfying month in, month out? You didn't have to remember what happened last month to enjoy this month's comic. That's been a very long time for me. So with that in mind, like, don't bitch, don't complain, make the things you want. You know, that's always been my philosophy. So I want a cool, satisfying, gnarly monthly comic. So I'm just going to have to make it. And I hope you guys show up for it, because that's going to incentivize more cartoonists to do the same. Especially, like, with how weird Red Room is. Shit, man, you guys make this thing a hit. That's gonna send shockwaves. Because people then are going to have to explain, like, what is Red Room? What? Murdering on the dark web? Gore? Violence? Are you kidding me? Phantasm Comics, thanks a lot. Five copies ordered. It's going to go to 4 good homes and yourself, man. Justin, glad you're back on the drawing tip, dude. We've gotten a lot of that kind of feedback, which is very gratifying. People who kind of put comics down for a while, discovered the channel, and just kind of picked the stuff right back up. Super happy to hear about that. The rat queens don't groom. They're factory farmed for murder. So they have hairy underarms. I'm rough on these damn pens. Plan on doing videos over the next couple months to kind of show off some of the inspirations and things for Red Room. And one of the vids that I'm most excited about, that I have on my mind to sort of happen first will be showing off all the great duotone outlaw comics that are part of this mixture. Obviously, at the top of the list, you got guys like Tim Vigil, you got James O'Barr, Eric Talbot, who did a lot of really cool Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comics with the original Mirage Studios crew. Michael Zulli, who we showed off on the channel a handful of times. Puma Blues, he did some really cool Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle comics. Troy Nixie, one of the great outlaw cartoonists with Bill the Clown. Shadow under this nasty eye. Oh, there's got to be gore coming out of this. I like the idea of doing like modern day pulp style EC sort of horror comics too. Like the 4th issue is very much EC inspired down to the lettering. Can't wait for you guys to see that one. There's even the horror host. The host, the horror host, it's going to be appropriately cheesy. And remember everything I said about Red Room, right? Like, Bitcoin is being used to give the donations, you know, to the Red Roomers, anonymous, all of that. So the horror host for my EC-inspired horror issue, the cryptocurrency keeper, of course. Tell me that doesn't make perfect sense. Okay, man, you see that hand right there because this rat queen is trying to keep its hair from getting pulled. I like how you can see the scalp too. Like the hair is just thin. Adds to the disgust level. And keep in mind, there's going to be a lot of duotone usage here too, so I'm going to get a lot of mileage out of that to add like an extra level of gray tones and stuff. Shadow. No, I don't have any advice for stretches or anything like that when it comes to preserving your draw in hand or back or whatever. But I've also, I have zero problems with that stuff. My posture probably sucks. I don't pay attention that much. But I also, like, I'm one of the only people I know who doesn't have the callus. Like, I have no calluses on my fingers, and I'm not really clutching. So I'm probably not the person to ask. And this is going to be cut off, like the image will be isolated like that. When you see this hair like that, it's like the speed to just kind of indicate where the hell it's going. Let's see. Trying to conceptualize some shadow there. Mitchell, what's up, man? Yeah, you're right. This thing is years in the making. This is why we laugh at Inktober. Look at that. That's just ink right there, man. It turns to plastic after a couple of years. Shouts Enorb. There it is right there. Pre-ordered that comic. It's super fun seeing the level that you guys have been supporting the stuff up to this point, man, and extra gratifying that the Kayfabe effect is hitting our own works too. when it becomes sentient. This will look cool when I hit it with the tones too. Boom. Yeah, this dude is called Decimator. He has a different name at the start of issue 1, but then he chooses that. You know, it's almost like wrestling. Like, these guys got to change their gimmicks. If you look at the dictionary definition of decimate, it's like to reduce to 10% of, you know, an object or something like that. So, like, he decimates human bodies to 10% of what they once were. Fuck that up. No, no, no. The Red Room is not just one guy. In fact, this dude is but a cog in a much bigger business. There are like maybe say 5 major organizations that are the principal main Red Room operators, and it's it's a whole operation. Like I have some comic ideas that even stretch back to the early Industrial Revolution and bringing over, you know, people from across the pond to, you know, work in factories, and maybe some of those people go missing. Maybe some of those people get hold of. Maybe some of those people are victims of, you know, essentially human trafficking and get in the clutches of these future Red Room operators. You'll see. Yeah, you know what? Not a bad idea. Seeing Decimator use the flat side of the axe. Not a bad idea, man. I saw this one confession tape from this Canadian serial killer guy. It's on YouTube right now. He was like a corporal or something in the Canadian military. And the confession tape is fascinating because, you know, he's a boss and he's got an ego, so like he's chewing gum and stuff whenever he first gets into the joint, thinking that he's gonna outslick the cops, but then they whittle him down, man, and he confesses. And when he starts blabbering on, one of the things he mentions all the time, like whenever it's like a new victim, is like, and then I smacked her in the head with a flashlight, and I just wanted to, you know, shut her up, but then it caved in her skull or something. It's just like, yeesh. Brutal. So that can allow for some cool moments, or, you know, not cool, but you know what I'm saying. Good moments in the comic. I think this will be handled. There's going to be a shadow on this face, but that'll be handled in duotone. Shaping up slowly but surely. Russell Williams, yeah. Check that guy out, man. He's a sick fuck. Nah, no streams of the duotone effect because that's just done digitally. And that's asking me to figure out another level of technical expertise. I can barely get this stream to work. Let's see, just about here. Yeah, I learned a lot for the comic, watching the interrogation tapes of these kooky people, reading the book, like every one of the books by that Mindhunter guy. I didn't say this in the video where we like announced Red Room, but kind of another thought in my mind was, you know, I mentioned this comic is for my sister, and even, you know, my mom, like both of my sisters, they like crazy stuff, but they also like Dexter. And, you know, no offense to you guys who love Dexter, but I'm like, this ain't no serial killer, man. This guy's a punk. Like, you want a serial killer comic? I'm gonna give you a serial killer comic. You want some serial killer stuff? I'll hook you up with some serial killer stuff. Cause this pretty boy, that ain't doing it. Now, if Dexter would have, like, chopped up his bodies or whatever and just like compulsively started jerking off all over them or something, now we're talking. Now we're getting into serial killer territory. But if he does his little killing and then goes and has a love triangle, that ain't no serial killer. A really cool kind of byproduct of kayfabe is discovering that there are a lot of makers out there who dig the channel too. That's always kind of gratifying, because a big part of creating the channel was trying to make a YouTube channel that I would want to listen to while working on stuff. So I am curious, everybody who's out there listening, hanging out in the chat room, do you make art? Do you make comics? Do you make animation? I guess, do you make stuff? Question 1. 2, what discipline? How do you express yourself? Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer is a good depiction, and you know what? I stole a scene from that. Let me go grab the art for this issue. I kind of toyed around with the scene from Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer. Let me put this right for a second. 1 second. So sometimes the top story and the bottom story will kind of interconnect a little bit. Alright, so top story, girl story. She's kind of stalking her dad, watching him like he's... And this is so clear in the color. Like, I went super detailed with the imagery, knowing that I would be able to pull everybody out and make them super clear in the color. So she's kind of stalking her dad, and it's established he's not supposed to be drinking. See her right there, kind of seeing him at the checkout. And then she's watching him bail. When he bails, he's making his way to a little hooker on the stroll. Gives her one of them beers. And then she's recalling the story to her friend. Watches dad and the hooker go to a motel. Ushers the lady into the spot. And you see that ominous silhouette right there, right? Hotel room door closed. Beauty of comics is you have no idea how much time is transpiring with this panel. But as he leaves, he's the only one. 2 suitcases, baby. Like the end of Henry. With my own flavor put on top of it. secured those pages. Let's get back to making carnography. Massive Panda, thanks for the super chat. It's fun, like, you draw these characters enough times and how certain things start to happen. Like, this guy, his hair starts to evolve into this kind of, like, metal Wolverine kind of hair. You know, it didn't quite start off that way, but it just takes one drawing for you to do it a certain way and be like, okay, man, that looks cool. And then with some of the character designs, it's kind of important to use popular horror tropes, you know, scary tropes, because the idea is that these people are trying to attract attention and get followers and people to enjoy their content. So you got to have the plague doctor guy. You saw the cover for Red Room. There's like that clown face dude. Got to exploit the popular horrors. But then with the interest of like the splatterpunk shit, you got to have the bondage and domination element of leather and lace, or leather and leather. You know, that stuff was all over Clive Barker's work. Make that underside black. This underside of the axe. I just am being lazy right now. I don't want to clean a brush. Oh yeah, we got another rat queen up there. Using the 0.3 multi-liner seems to be like one of my main go-tos. I like the 0.5. I use a half dozen. 0.1. But the 3 is the one that seems to be used the most. You know, because on these bold lines I like to use the dip pens. Every hair is perfectly a part of the rat queen knot. Having this upside down face gives the opportunity to play with lighting the head a little differently than I'm used to. Put a little extra drapery on that collar. Here's the part of the stream where I ask you guys for your horror recommendations. Novels, TV, movies, books. Go. Let me know. Ain't no shame in the smut art. I cut my teeth on smut comics a couple of times actually, man. Super early. I did stuff in porno mags, and later in my career, well, still early, but after that I did there's a porn star named Belladonna who had a website, and I did daily cartoons for her. It's pretty fun. Pretty fun flexing the hardcore muscles. Pause. Paul Tremblay. Gonna take that down. Yeah, I dug Midnight Meat Train. Dug the book too, you know, the Books of Blood. The Books of Blood are freaking dope. American Mary, that piques my curiosity. I think it'll be speedline time for now. Let me try to figure out some metal stuff here. And keep in mind, once again, there's going to be duotones on there that's going to help sell the texture. Tokyo Gore Police, yes, man, that is on my little USB thumb drive that's stuck into my television right at this moment. Speed line time. Yeah, that title, man, sounds provocative. American Mary. Jumps out at me immediately. Shit, I'm definitely watching that tonight. You guys got me stoked on that. Don't want it like that. Thanks a lot for these recommendations, guys and girls. I'm like a method cartoonist. I said it before, you know, but I just gotta keep in a certain mindset while putting this comic together, and I've been absorbing a lot of crazy books. A lot of crazy flicks. Basically every second away from the drawing table, I'm taking in some piece of macabre information, storytelling, whatever. Let me show off a good one that I could recommend to you guys. And it started as a curiosity because there was a comic book adaptation that didn't quite go very far, but they tried nonetheless. Let me go grab this because I gotta read this one part to you. Right here, Chain Gang. This was a Tim Vigil adaptation that was incomplete. 2 issues came out, and based on the Rex Miller character. Rex Miller wrote the comic and didn't do a very good job with his adaptation at all. You know, Rex Miller wrote the adaptation, but was inspired to grab this book after grabbing the comic, right? 500 pounds of pure murder, Chain Gang, Rex Miller, right? Boom, die cut cover. Here's our boy Chain Gang, that's his name. And then this part right here will sell you on it hard. The beast was very hungry. He felt clear-headed for the first time since he'd been given his freedom. Really strong, coming awake with a roaring hunger. He wanted real food. Then he wanted a heart. That's amazing, right? That's fucking amazing. The book is as good as that opening statement, too. It's part 2, though. You want to get part 1, Chain Gang's first story called Slob. And then there's Chain Gang. And I'm not sure. I think the third one is called Frenzy. But when it's discovered that Chain Gang is a fan favorite, he becomes too much of a superhero. You don't want him to be a good guy. Once again, Dexter type shit. He needs to be a maniac. Maniac is another one that I've seen recommended a couple of times, and I don't think that I've ever seen that, so that's going on the list. By the way, guys, all of this stuff is going on the list. I got about a year's worth of work to do here, and I need to have some company in these COVID times, man. And if an audiobook is going to do the trick, or a movie, I'm all for it. You know what I discovered about the guinea pig flicks very late was that Hideshi Hino, one of the great horror mangaka, inspired some of the stories, directed some. And that's extremely noteworthy. Definitely want to thank you guys for these recommendations. Like in the past, whenever I would do streams and was soliciting stuff, you guys were always on point with your recs. You know, you guys are the ones that told me about Jack Ketchum, and you know, I grew to freaking love that dude. I read his whole bibliography this past year. You know how it goes, man. We all had a lot of time on our hands, and in between drawing, spent that time reading, watching weird flicks. This is shaping up, man. I wanted to have, like, one of the kind of goals I had for myself with this issue was give me something cool on every page, every single page. And you don't want to screw with your story to just draw a big dynamic image, but if the dynamic images are wrapped up in the story, well, there you go. Mission accomplished. We're destroying this marker here. Hey Joe, thanks a lot for the super chat. There are no days off when you got that monthly comic to work on. And also, I think I seen you pop up on the Patreon, so thanks for your support over there. And certainly, Kayfabers, if your curiosity is piqued and you want to check out the comics, you want to read the comics, hit the Patreon. You know, there's a link in the description below to the Patreon. $3 a month will get you the strips as they come out. If you pledge for a year, I think it's like $32 US. You get the whole archive, and I'm going to keep putting strips up every Tuesday. So all the comics will be readable up there for sure, in an unedited state. So 2 issues are up there right this minute. Working on a 3rd issue, but it's actually issue 0. Kind of like a set of 4 very short stories that happen in the Red Room universe, kind of like preludes for 4 issues. Then when I get done with this strip here, I need to come up with another 8-pager to go along with that. But I actually think that one of the things I definitely want to see, if there are ever such things as comic conventions again, is I want to see cosplayers with this garb. You know, I want to see my characters walking around, 3 guys, 1 hammer. Yeah. Yeah, I know that one well. Don't Google that, people, unless Don't Google that if you're chicken-hearted. But I want to see some menacing-looking Red Room cosplayers. So I think for that comic, which may or may not come out on Free Comic Book Day, I might have like those Marvel Universe things or like a DC Who's Who, just front, back, side views of these characters so that you could see them from every angle and come up with your cosplays that way. I might even solicit it, like, cosplayers, here you go, here's the template. 'Cause more often than not, when you see these Red Room videos, you only see the characters from like the waist up while they're doing dirt. But man, I think that would just be such a trip to see Red Room cosplayers running around. There's that link for the pre-order for issue 1, but once again, for the Kayfabe crew who are across the pond, not in America, and are subject to those crazy shipping charges, of which we could do nothing about, I encourage you to hit the Patreon so that you could check out the comics at a really affordable price, and then, you know, decide if you want to get the big book or not, or a trade paperback or not. Like, rather than just like your average Kickstarter or Indiegogo that asks for like a glob of money up front, it's like, pick your poison. Want the issues, want the trades, want the big book, want them all, want them digitally. Like, these are some options. And I support them all. But this shit is definitely drawn for paper, so that's why I always trumpet the Patreon is for the early adopter. Because it would be a bummer if that was the only way those stories were consumed. You know, like, I'm into the tangible object. This pen will be toast. Not bad, an hour 45 minutes for this panel. Not bad. I never keep track of my time in any substantial way. Serbian film. Yeah, I saw that thing. Yeah, thanks for scooping up the studio edition. Amazon is so crazy like that. I was being gun shy about the Akira box set. And then it jumped up in price on me, and I was like, okay, well, you made the decision for me, motherfuckers. I definitely ain't grabbing it now. You know, I have the books already, but I like the idea of the flipped experience, you know, see what the drawings look like the way Otomo, you know, drew them. But I buy so many freaking books, and saving a couple of dollars here and there, man, never hurts. Alright, man, so there's 33% of this page is inked. I'm gonna go take a quick break and work on another row for a little bit. All right, be back in like 30 seconds. You know what, guys? Everybody I know personally is a very hard worker, and will put a lot of time in, even on the weekends. So I got a bunch of email stuff that I have to take care of. I got a bunch of calls that came in while on the stream, so I'm actually going to split in a second here. But I definitely want to thank you guys for kicking it, hanging out with me while I draw some carnage. One more time, please hit that link, pre-order the comic. I don't have the Angoulême art book for the Lady Snowblood artist. You see how I got out of not saying the name? Actually, Suje is, I think, how you say it. But that art exhibit was incredible, man. Super freaking incredible. Thank you guys for the pre-order. The pre-order crew helped make Red Room go full kayfabe effect. Once again, before the book comes out, I want over 1,000 pre-orders, and I think we're very, very, very close already. Within just 3 days of people knowing about the comic and being able to pre-order it. So that's super gratifying. It makes you feel like we're on the right track. But every issue is a new issue, you know, like every issue is a new thing. And I don't want diminishing returns, so we gotta make that happen. You know, I really want to make this comic a success, and the Kayfabe crew I know will come through. So much appreciated. Thanks for hanging out. There will be more carnage to draw in the near future. It's a monthly comic, man, so there's going to be a lot of grinding required to make this thing happen. Anyhow, you guys enjoy the rest of the weekend. Make sure you watch that video, the RoboCop Terminator video. We got cool ones coming up for you tomorrow and every single day on Kayfabe. Be good, stay out of trouble. Try not to catch that COVID, and good night.